Welcome back, guys. This week we're going to talk about when psychological pain is good for you. Pain is good for you. We all know that. That clip from Pumping Iron when Arnold's talking about going through the pain period, the last few reps of a set when all the muscle growth occurs, which isn't exactly true, but Arnold's still making a good point on that. We need to go through pain to get the kind of growth we want, whether it's muscle growth or psychological growth. The problem is sometimes it's difficult to tell when pain is good versus when it's bad. It's a little bit easier when it comes to bodybuilding and fitness. I mean, if there's pain around a ligament, a tendon, or a joint, like the bone, then it's probably the bad kind of pain you should stop. But if it's around the muscle belly, then it's good. But what is the muscle belly pain of your psychology? How do you tell when the pain is actually healthy? Here's a few ways. The first way to tell when pain is good is when you find yourself taking better actions as opposed to simply feeling better about yourself. We've all been inundated by this culture that tells us gotta feel good, positive psychology, think positive thoughts, self-esteem movement, the bastardized self-esteem movement, not the one started by Nathaniel Branden, but how that was bastardized into just teaching kids to feel good about themselves. And if you don't feel good, then something's wrong. But sometimes you don't feel good about yourself, even though you see yourself taking the correct actions, and they're often one and the same. For instance, let's say part of your psychological growth is communicating better with your wife. Let's say, well, when you start communicating better with your wife, it's not going to feel good in the short term because now you're trying to talk to her instead of watching football all weekend. And in fact, talking to her is going to bring up latent psychological issues that you are unconsciously avoiding by watching football all weekend. So as you begin to talk with her, you may not feel good, but you can objectively look at your situation and say, well, I'm talking to my wife more, I'm communicating better, as opposed to tuning out with football. You don't necessarily feel better, but you can see yourself taking better action. Same thing if you're a single guy. It feels a lot better, you could say, to simply walk by a girl instead of talking to her and realizing that she's out of your league. It feels better to walk by her, but you can objectively see, okay, I'm taking the right steps I need to take, even if it doesn't necessarily feel better. That's muscle belly pain. Another instance of muscle belly pain is there's targeted regret as opposed to a general sense of being pissed at yourself. A great example of this is the Count of Monte Cristo, the 2003 remake of the original version, but it's one of those instances where the movie is better than the book, mainly because the Count of Monte Cristo, the book is not that good. And I'm not one to feel shy about liking 19th century French literature, but that book, not so great. But the movie's really great because when Edmond Dantes is in the prison, what does he learn by talking with the priest about what sent him, about the events that happened that sent him to prison, is he realized, oh, I messed up. I didn't do something in this situation, or I trusted this guy when I really shouldn't have. I was being naive here. He was feeling regretful, which is healthy, as opposed to shame. If you don't know the difference between that, sign up for the email list and you'll get my book, Man's Guide to Shame. Learn about the difference between shame and regret. Anyways, he had targeted regret. I messed up this one specific thing, and that's what you get from going through good therapy, i.e. therapy with me with the unconscious map. As we boil down, you seem like you're messing up your entire life, but I guarantee you it's only because of one or maybe two decisions you're making, and the second decision you're making is really a result of the first one. But I can boil it down to one decision point that you are not making correctly. It may seem different, but it's really the same decision, the same incorrect decision made in a bunch of different circumstances. But really, it's the same one. And that's what we want to get you. We want to get you to Edmond Dantes in the prison talking with the priest. Guess in this analogy, I'm the priest. Saying, hey, you just messed up this one situation. Now you may still feel bad, but it's not the general sense of being pissed off. And a third way to tell you're going through muscle belly pain as opposed to ligament pain is you have a good perspective on your situation. Let's say you haven't been on, or you haven't had a job in 3 years. Now you can feel really bad about that, and you can feel overwhelmed about not having a job, and now I had this blank space on my resume, whatever it happens to be. But you're going through the good kind of pain when you have more perspective on your situation, and you're working through what you need to work on to get to where you want to be. So the goal here is to get a job, but you need to start working on your resume and building up your resume to get a job. And you're going through the good kind of pain when you may not have the job yet or be making the kind of money that you want to make. But just by working on your resume, you kind of, get that sense of feeling of flow going, like, yeah, I don't have the job now, but I know if I just keep working through this resume, through these issues that I'm working on, that the job is going to come naturally. If I just work on what I need to work on today, then the job or whatever I want is going to happen. That's another indication that you're going through the good kind of pain, as opposed to feeling overwhelmed and, I haven't had a job in 3 years. And also what you'll tell yourself is, well, what's the big deal if I go 4 years? So as opposed to that, I know I need to work on this, I have perspective. And really this comes from creating some kind of concrete plan, a plan nobody else can give you, a plan that you need to give yourself. And really the real therapy, this is for another topic, the real therapy in the creation of a plan isn't because it gives you something to do, but because the therapy is in the creation of the plan itself. It's that bringing up of awareness to your situation and giving yourself perspective as opposed to feeling overwhelmed. But the bigger point here is, you really are going through good pain, and you've really internalized a lot of it. You've really brought a lot of that unconscious pain conscious in a healthy way, even if you haven't managed it yet, when you can really feel that you are in the perfect place for you. You are exactly where you need to be to work on your issues, to work on your anxiety, to work on your anger, to strengthen your boundary. Your situation is perfect for you, and that's not some woo-woo Marianne Williamson positive psychology way of viewing it. That's really what's going on, because your situation is difficult precisely because of lapses in your psychology. It wouldn't be any other way. If you didn't have the poor communication, let's say, then the problem with the wife, to go back to the first example, it wouldn't be there. Actually, the problem with the wife is a reflection of your issue. So you really start to internalize that. Even if you are going through pain, you're really starting to internalize that is exactly where you need to be right now. And there's a great feeling of acceptance, the good kind of acceptance, as opposed to the bad kind, which is in a sense giving up and not trying to change anything, but the really healthy kind of acceptance of just being part of the reality that you're living in, when you can say, yeah, this is exactly, no matter what's happening. The wife's complaining, you haven't had the job in 3 years, the girl doesn't like, whatever it is, this is exactly where I need to be. The girl's not texting you back. Instead of freaking out, you go, good. This is great information for me. And I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. And always remember that when you want all the nutrition from your tail, you first need to eat your own tail.